I mean, one of the things for the creators is obviously that it validates what they're doing. You know, you get selected into a festival. It's actually like what you're doing is a real thing. People appreciate this sort of stuff, and they want to put time and effort into acknowledging it and promoting it and that sort of thing. It became a kind of a public awareness campaign as well. So not just about the creators or people who have special interests, but actually trying to take this thing out to general public as well.
Okay, well, first of all, what would you say was your greatest challenge?
I think with this one, it was with Low Life. The challenge for me was kind of trying to stay sort of truthful in a sense to the subject matter. I know that sounds a bit wanky, but so in a sense, it was that was kind of the biggest challenge for me, was just trying to kind of get the tone correct. And yeah, I actually had a lot of fun with that. But that was something that we sort of struggled with through script stage, right through to production, and then also in the edit. But hopefully we kind of got there in the end. You know, a lot of comedy is kind of, you know, on the bone and pointing at things that are a little bit difficult. So I think if people feel a little uncomfortable or a bit challenged or, you know, touched, I think they're all good things. They're all good responses.
I think the biggest challenge with House, the first 3 we made last year, was really down to just pulling something like that off with the tiny amount of resources we had.
I think I don't think there's any point in the process of the Justice League where I turned to Paul, my co-creator, and said, "Hey, that was really easy." There was nothing about that series that was easy. You know, the biggest challenge and the thing that we never even really thought about, or not a great deal, was making it isn't the hardest part. Like the idea of releasing it is a whole new challenge in itself. We thought we had a strategy, but at the end of the day, I think we just thought, you know, you upload it and you tick the box on YouTube that says, "Hey, do you want your video to go viral?"
If only.
I think it's just got, you know, remarkably, noticeably bigger in the second year than what it was in the first year. So we got almost double the submissions this year, what we did last year, and just the quality of the content that came in this year as well, just on average, it's come such a long way in just 1 year for us in terms of the quality of the work that we were able to show. So they say that about, you know, creative work that you produce is often, how good it is often defined by the stuff that didn't make it into the final product.
Yeah. It is hard. Like I guess with any TV series or something sort of long form, it's, you know, how do you create that journey? And we just felt like if we could break it up into small chunks and treat each episode, the idea behind it was that we were trying to treat each episode as like a solution, I guess, to depression. And one was, you know, so it was like booze, pills, therapy, you know, suicide, like in a really dark episode. And so it felt like we could contain it by creating small chunks. It felt like we could contain each episode without trying to tell something bigger in a really small space.
Yeah, it's a really big challenge, and why a lot of people go for comedy online. You know, drama is really hard to pull off in such a short format, but if you mix, I mean, something like House, we've kind of mixed drama and comedy together. You know, we kind of have the dramatic elements and just undermined with comedy repeatedly, and that makes it a little bit easier. I mean, one thing we find is with the shorter format, it means we've got to have a really high kind of story per minute. We've really got to crank through plot to keep people engaged, so they don't just click off onto another, you know, web browser tab and see what's happening on Facebook.
I think at the end of the day, Paul and I have spent a lot of time in the writing process. Like, there is a graveyard of unused script pages, and we were just so ruthless in just, you know, really kind of keeping to that page count.
In terms of reception, were there any big surprises in how it was received? You know, particularly good or bad press, or you know, social media reaction? Was there anything that surprised you?
I think it was overwhelmingly good. You know, the main feedback that we got from people was that we just want more of everything, which is that's exactly the feedback that you want. You know, there's always room to sell tickets and to put more bums on seats and sell out the house and do that sort of stuff. But at least we've now built a platform around the festival where we were able to grow, and we were trending on Twitter, which on Friday night during the opening night, which is phenomenal. Trending worldwide, the little festival in Melbourne sort of thing. So that's all really, really exciting, and we're creating a bit of expectations around the festival, I think, which is equally good and terrifying, I suppose.
Yeah.
You make something, you put it out there, somebody in India is watching it, and then you read a tweet about it. Like, that is kind of phenomenal. And I love that. Like, I've received so many messages from different people from, all corners of the globe saying that they were touched by it in a particular way, or they found it really funny. And I think, so many things are going in that way. I think viewing things in a traditional sort of format of watching it on TV is kind of dying in many ways. I think having it out there online is the way it's working.
The one great advantage with making a comedy series for the web, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, is that you can just go out and do it and chuck it online and just, get it in front of an audience. Now, that means that kind of democratization of it, the kind of anyone can do it, means that it can be hard to get through the bad stuff to the good stuff online. It's great, and it means you can, take something that's a bit weird and kind of do it as a web series as a bit of a proof of concept to show that, no, this actually works. And
it's basically freedom is the biggest advantage. We didn't have to answer to anyone apart from ourselves. So we had complete and utter freedom over the content, and we just did whatever you saw. That's exactly what we wanted to do. Just so good to have this medium to just get your content out with a click of a button. I mean, that's really, really exciting without, waiting for grants to come through or networks to say, yes, we just did it. And that's the best thing about the web. You can just do it.
So I think that's one of those big questions in digital content, is how do you make money of what you do? And that is, it's just, these are the sort of things that we're working for, to create more opportunities basically for the content creators.
In terms of WebFest, web series and the mainstream media, that relationship, how has traditional media responded to the emergence of web series, and do you think that there's going to be a sort of smooth reconciliation, I suppose, between these new media formats and mainstream, or how do you see that sort of going?
That's a very big question.
Yeah,
I
know.
But it's a good question. It's that's the kind of question that we need to really discuss, I think. And the big studios in Hollywood, for example, like Fox Studios has a digital arm. Sony has a digital arm, and they are putting real money into creating digital content. Canada, the same. They've had funding for digital content for a number of years, which is a different model to the American model. But Canada's had it for a long, long time, and it's really sort of becoming this mecca for digital content in a number of ways.
How do you find that elusive online audience? Like, do you guys have a specific game plan, if it were?
I mean, the old phrase is, follow the ant trails. Like, figure out who your audience is and go to where they are, and get the content to them. And then if you could get enough people on board, they're really going to be the ones spreading the content for you.
Yeah.
Look, we always come up with game plans and just execute them for a bit and see how they go. And sometimes things work really well, and sometimes things don't work at all. It's really hard to predict. Yeah. I'm always really, really skeptical of anyone who says this is the way you do it to be successful, because normally if they happen to even be right, they were probably right about it yesterday and it's changed today. So
there's certain things that are just lucky. Like, I think if you put a cat video online and it is amazing and it's a minute long, it's the sort of thing that will be emailed around, whereas ours was, about something that was a bit more sort of challenging and a bit darker and a bit weirder, and also, each episode was 6 minutes, so I was very much aware that it wasn't going to be the sort of thing that, Jim would open his inbox on Monday morning and send it to his best mate and say, you've got to watch this, it's hilarious. It's not that kind of thing. Yeah. Then we actually hired a PR person in LA as well to help get it out there to particular sort of blogs and newspapers and websites and stuff. So we knew that, one of the big steps of doing something on the internet was trying to make sure that you had some sort of publicity, or trying to at least focus it and target it.
You know, most comedians who are making web series do it as part of their operation. So they might have a live show, they might have a podcast, they might have, you know, a number of different things that they're working on. And I think web series often is one of the things in their bag of tricks to reach whatever audience they're looking for or trying to reach out to. So I think Auntie Donna for us has been a really, I suppose, an interesting case study for Melbourne WebFest on a number of occasions. We've looked back at what's happened to them and what they've said about, I suppose, their experiences in the year since the first festival, where, well, Mark Banana is one of the boys, one of the Donnas, was saying that, you know, they'd kind of gone from using their online content to market their live show to using their live shows to market their online content instead, which is a kind of an interesting changeover in a number of ways, because I suppose what they've realised is that you can only fit a limited amount of people in a theatre, and that's really exciting, and it's a completely different experience as a performer, obviously, but the audience online is unlimited, you know.